G'day, crew. You've landed on the 3CIR podcast, where we turn real world experience into real world qualifications and a real shot at your next chapter. I'm Joel Slate Cairns.
And I'm Ryan Jury Delaney, two ex-military blokes who still can't drink a coffee without looking for a field map.
Speak for yourself. I upgraded to spreadsheets. Thank you very much. Hey, if you're new here, 3CIR was founded by Veterans for Veterans, emergency services, and the savvy civilians who roll up their sleeves and get things done. Our North Star is 5 words: courage, commitment, camaraderie, integrity, respect. Those aren't slogans, they're policy. They shape how we help you translate what you've done into where you want to go.
Right? The mission is simple. Help you transition, upskill, and accelerate using recognition of prior learning, RPL, and online qualifications. And today, we're diving into a big one. RPL isn't just another acronym. It's your shortcut without the shortcuts.
Exactly. If you've been doing the job on base, on shift, on site, or in the field, RPL is the formal process that assesses those skills against the national standards so you can walk away with a nationally recognized qualification. No sitting in a classroom relearning what you already know.
Think of it like a fitness test for your career. You don't run the whole marathon from scratch. You prove the capability you've already got. And the assessor goes, yep, you meet the Australian Qualifications Framework standard for that unit. Badge awarded.
And we'll map out the whole thing today: what RPL is, how the process works, what evidence you actually need, who benefits most, looking at you, ADF and emergency services, the costs, the timeframes, and a couple of honest, what if I don't pass first go? Scenarios. Plus, a few stories that'll sound awfully familiar if you've ever managed a shift with half a crew and twice the workload.
Before we get tactical, a quick hat tip to the listeners who've been with us from our earlier episodes. Avoid procrastination and its consequences, deep dive into RPL and the secret to jumpstarting your career after service. Today ties those threads together. If procrastination's been winning, this is your nudge.
All right, define the battlefield. What is recognition of prior learning? Simple version, it's an assessment within Australia's Vocational Education and Training System, VET, run by registered training organisations, RTOs, who judge your real skills, knowledge and competencies against national training package standards.
If you learned your stuff through work, volunteering, deployments, short courses, or that I've been doing this for 15 years without a piece of paper life, RPL says, let's recognise that formally. This is huge for ADF folks who've run teams, delivered training, done risk, logistics, comms, or WHS without ever calling it a diploma.
Same for first responders. You've probably done more incident command and crisis management than most MBA case studies. RPL acknowledges that. And not everyone had the same shot at classroom learning. Some of you were learning under pressure, in the middle of the night, on a fireground or on patrol. Different classroom, same competence.
So how does RPL actually work? You don't just tick a box and boom, you're a diploma. There's a process, tight but fair. Step 1 is a skills audit. You and the RTO identify the qualification you're aiming for and the units of competency it's built from. You compare that with what you've done. That's the map.
Then you gather evidence. That can be a portfolio with position descriptions, performance reviews, rosters you managed, training materials you delivered, project reports, incident logs, references from supervisors, certificates from courses and conferences, even photos or work samples if they show the competency. This is where your real story lives.
After that, the assessor might run interviews, workplace observations, or a practical demonstration, not to trip you up, more to verify what's true. They assess it all against the Australian Qualifications Framework and the specific training package requirements. It's rigorous because your qualification must mean something in the real world.
And if you're thinking, this sounds like admin, you're not wrong. But remember our episode on avoid procrastination. Do the hard yards once and reap the reward for years. We'll give you a dead simple way to think about your portfolio later on. Stick around for that.
Quick reality check, your experience has to match the course outcomes. If you want a work health and safety qualification, you need to show you've actually run hazard IDs, risk assessments, incident investigations, and communicated controls. Not just, I care about safety, right?
Exactly. The standards are the same for everyone, and that's good. It means employers trust RPL qualifications because they're equivalent to the ones earned through traditional study. It's not a shortcut, it's a different route to the same destination.
Let's talk industries because RPL shines brighter in some places. Construction, security, business services, healthcare, they're all big RPL domains, and IT, massive. Tech moves so fast, half your skill set comes from projects and self-directed learning anyway.
In business services, project management, HR, leadership, you'll often hit a ceiling without the right letters after your name. RPL is a crane that lifts you over that ceiling. We've seen a project coordinator use workplace initiatives, stakeholder feedback, and completed deliverables to secure a qualification and land a senior role. Classic case:
Security and risk. We had a listener who'd worked surveillance, incident response, and site risk across a decade and a half. Through RPL, they earned the Diploma of Security and Risk Management, and suddenly the senior roles that preferred a diploma were calling them back. Not because they changed who they were, but because the market finally understood what they were.
Which is the heart of this. Your experience has value. RPL is just the translator. Now the benefits: time, money, momentum. You can complete RPL in weeks, not years. 4 to 8 weeks is common once your evidence is ready and you're responding to assessor requests.
Cost-wise, you're paying for assessment, not months of classes. If you're self-funding, that's a win. If your employer's covering it, they save too. Fast upskilling without pulling you off the floor for long.
And with the right qualification, your CV stops getting filtered out by automated HR portals. You know the ones. Must hold Cert I4 in X, and the robot says, nope. Beat the robot.
Let's zoom in on evidence because this is where people get stuck. The rule is variety and relevance. Work-based evidence, position descriptions that list your responsibilities, performance reviews, highlighting achievements, project plans and reports, rosters or schedules you built, training session outlines you delivered.
Third-party verification, supervisor references, client testimonials, colleague statements. Those carry weight because they're independent, but make them specific. Jury's a good bloke won't get you over the line. Jury implemented a risk control that reduced incident rates by 18% across Q3 will...
Professional development. Tickets, short courses, conference badges, and those we squeezed a webinar in between night shift and breakfast certificates. They prove currency, staying up to date with practice.
And don't underestimate the value of your own reflective statements. A short write-up that says, in 2023, I led a team of 7 across 2 sites, implemented a WHS communication plan, and achieved X result helps your assessor map evidence to units quickly.
Quick pro tip. Map each piece of evidence to a unit outcome before you submit. You can find the units and outcomes on training.gov.au. If a unit says implement and monitor WHS policies, show the emails, toolbox talks, audits, or corrective actions you drove. You're not just dumping documents, you're telling a competency story.
If you're thinking, I don't have all that in one place, relax. We help with that. 3CIR's team guides you through portfolio building. There's an eligibility quiz on our site that gives you a feel for what qualifications your experience lines up with. It's free, quick, and a good confidence check.
And while we're dropping resources, our video overviews are a goldmine. Leadership and management, HR pathways, WHS, security and risk, business admin, marketing and communication, government and public sector project management. If you want the what's in scope and what jobs does this unlock without reading 100 pages, hit those videos.
Let's loop back to ADF and emergency services, because honestly, RPL was made for you. Military leadership often outpaces civilian management training. You've coordinated logistics, handled risk assessments in hostile environments, mentored, trained, and managed assets. Translation: leadership and management, project management, training and assessment, security and risk.
For first responders, police, fireys, AMBOs, you've led crews, conducted WHS compliance, triaged chaos into order, and kept communities safe. That aligns with WHS, risk, leadership, and more. And yes, 3CIR offers a 25% discount on RPL assessments for current and former defence and emergency services personnel. It's our way of saying, we see you and we've got your back.
But here's a question we hear a lot. Is RPL actually recognised by employers? Short answer: yes. The qualification you earn via RPL is the same as the one earned through study, Same certificate, same AQF level, same national recognition. That's not spin, that's the framework.
Another one, what if I don't get everything first try? You'll get detailed feedback. Maybe you're competent in 8 units but need evidence or training for 2. No drama, you can do targeted gap training or provide additional evidence. This is where a mixed pathway shines. Use RPL where you're strong, study where you're light, and finish faster overall.
And for the planners out there, timeframes. Depending on the complexity and how organized your evidence is, 4 to 8 weeks is normal from submission to outcome. If there's back and forth with extra evidence, it can stretch, but remember, this isn't a 2-year detour.
Cost compared to study, typically significantly less. You're not paying for months of delivery. You're paying for skilled assessors to evaluate what you already know. If you've been putting off a qualification because of price or time, this changes the equation.
Let's do a mini prepare to succeed checklist. We promised it, so here it is in plain language. 1. Choose the target qualification and print the units from training.gov.au. 2. List your roles and major tasks. 3. Collect documents that prove those tasks, PDs, reviews, reports, rosters, SOPs you wrote, risk assessments, training slides. 4. Ask a current or former supervisor for a reference that names those tasks and outcomes. 5. Assemble it in a tidy way, unit by unit, with 2 to 3 solid pieces of evidence each.
And 6, sanity check with the RTO before you submit. This saves you weeks. We'll tell you if you've got a strong case or if a couple of units need shoring up.
Now, let's get practical with a couple of real-world composites. We mentioned the security manager with 15 years experience who used RPL to lock in the Diploma of Security and Risk Management. Their portfolio had site risk registers, incident debriefs, client recommendations, training logs, and a letter from the operations director. Assessment came back solid, and suddenly senior roles were open.
Another, a project coordinator who'd never had the title project manager, but they'd planned timelines, managed budgets, wrangled stakeholders, and delivered outcomes. Through RPL, they picked up a project management qualification that reflected reality, not just job titles. You know what I mean? Titles lag behind your actual capability.
Exactly. And for the vets listening who've handled training in unit, that can map to training and assessment competencies. If you've delivered structured lessons, assessed performance against standards, and kept records, don't leave that off your portfolio. It's gold.
While we're on reality, we've done episodes on PTSD treatment needing a physical component and on the tough stats around veteran suicide. Career direction is not a silver bullet, but having a purpose, building momentum, and being seen for the value you bring, it matters. RPL can be one of those stabilizing steps.
Couldn't agree more. And the camaraderie piece, the third C in our 5, is alive in this process. You'll talk to assessors who understand service culture, who aren't confused by acronyms, and who can translate what you actually did into civilian speak. That's a big deal when you're trying to jump between worlds.
Let's answer a couple of fast FAQs because I can hear the questions coming through the headphones. What qualifications can you get via RPL? Most nationally recognised ones from Certificate 2 up to Advanced Diploma across business, security, project management, leadership, WHS, HR, the works.
Can ADF personnel use military experience? Yes. Leadership, security, risk, logistics, training, project work, it translates. And we specialise in that translation. We've got mapping tools and, more importantly, people who get it.
What evidence do you need? Work samples, PDs, performance reviews, training certificates, references, detailed descriptions of what you did, and outcomes. And if you're not sure where you stand, use the free eligibility quiz on our site. It's like a pre-flight checklist.
Can emergency services benefit? Absolutely. Leadership, WHS, risk, training. And remember the 25% discount.
What if the assessment is partially unsuccessful? You'll get exact feedback and options, targeted training, more evidence, or even a different qualification that's a better match. It's not a red stamp that says no. It's a nav card that says adjust course 5 degrees.
Do employers recognize RPL the same as traditional study? Yes. Identical qualification. If someone tells you otherwise, they're confusing pathway with outcome.
Can you combine RPL with study? 100%. In fact, it's smart. Knock over what you already know through RPL, then focus your study time on the small gaps. We've talked about continual learning in past episodes. This is that in action.
Since we're in the pragmatic lane, let's talk levels. Cert 2, Cert 3, Cert 4, Diploma, Advanced Diploma. We did a whole episode on why a Cert 2 opens doors. It's the on-ramp. If you're rebuilding momentum after timeout or want to formalize foundational skills, fast. Cert 2 or 3 is a great start. A certificate through with 3 CIR can be that first step that gets you in the door, then you staircase up with RPL plus targeted studium.
Business management folks, don't sleep on this either. We've unpacked the perks of business management courses before, key takeaways like strategic planning, people leadership, and operations. Many of you are already doing those things. RPL can convert that into Cert IVA or diploma level quals. And yes, we've got guides on upgrading your qualifications in business management.
Cyber and online security peeps, we hear you too. We've covered securing your organization's online presence in earlier episodes. RPL can help if you've been the unofficial security lead on the ground, but need a formal credential to step into a recognized role.
I also want to nudge the folks in government and public sector. If you've crossed into that world or want to, check our video on government sector qualifications. There's a whole ecosystem where your service discipline and policy mindset fit like a glove.
And for those who've heard us mention With You With Me in past chats, platforms like that can help with job matching once you've got the credential in hand. RPL can be the paperwork that unlocks those algorithmic gates.
Let's give you a quick narrative example you can mirror. Say you're going for Certificate IVOR in leadership and management. Your evidence stack might look like PDs listing team lead duties, performance reviews, noting conflict resolution, and KPI improvements, a roster plan with leave coverage and surge staffing, training slides you used for onboarding, a supervisor letter confirming you coached 3 new hires and improved shift productivity by 12%, and a reflective piece tying those 2 units like lead team effectiveness and implement operational plans. That's not just paper, that's proof.
For work health and safety, think risk registers you maintained, hazard inspections, incident investigation reports you authored, emails or memos where you communicated control measures, toolbox talk notes, and an audit follow-up showing corrective actions closed out on time. Tie each to the unit outcomes. It saves your assessor and you time.
And because we like to be transparent, here's where people trip up. 1, sending a giant dump of unlabeled documents. Don't make your assessor play hide and seek. 2, vague references. Ask your referee to be specific, what you did, how it maps to the unit, and what changed because of it. 3, forgetting currency. If all your evidence is old, refresh with current activities or PD to show you're still sharp.
How do you keep your evidence current? Keep a small career log, 1 doc. Every time you lead something, fix something, train someone, note it. Date, action, outcome. When RPL time comes, you're not combing through emails like you lost your car keys.
Good habits, mate. That's the camaraderie in action, helping each other get squared away. Now, 3CIR's role in all this. We're your guide. We sit down virtually or otherwise and map your experience, point you to the right qualification, help assemble the portfolio, and prepare you for the assessment. We're an RPL first provider because we were built by people who learned most of their craft on the job.
And for current and former defence and emergency services, claim that 25% discount. If you're thinking, I'll do it later, no. Procrastination steals from your future self. Take the eligibility quiz, book a chat, or start the assessment form. 10 minutes today can chop months off your timeline.
If you need a nudge from the heart, think about the last time someone recognized your skill on the spot. Felt good, right? RPL is that feeling formalized. It's someone saying, we see your competence and here's the credential to match.
I want to touch on regulation briefly because quality matters. RPL sits under the Australian Skills Quality Authority and the Australian Qualifications Framework. Every RTO has to follow strict guidelines. That protects you. It means your qualification stands up anywhere in Australia and increasingly abroad.
And consistency matters. A unit of competency means the same thing, whether you learned it in a classroom, on patrol, or in the back of a fire truck. That's why employers trust the system and why you should too.
Before we wrap, let's do a rapid fire on how to choose which qualification to target. Ask yourself, what jobs am I eyeing? What do they require? Cert V, diploma. Which units match what I already do? Where are my obvious gaps? Could RPL cover the 60-80% and I study the rest? If yes, that's your road.
And remember, your first step doesn't have to be the top step. A Certificate 3 can be your launchpad. We've done episodes on a Certificate 3, your first step with 3 CIR and how a Cert 3 helps your career. It's all about momentum. Momentum beats perfection every day.
For those mid-career, leadership and management or project management RPL can unlock supervisory or coordinator roles quickly. It's a lever you can pull right now, not a 2-year sabbatical.
And to our emergency services family. Formal qualifications for emergency services is a big theme for us. RPL turns your fast, high-stakes learning into a credential that gels with HR systems. You've earned it the hard way. We help you capture it the smart way.
Last encouragement. If you're listening at the gym, on shift change or between job applications, think about how far you've come without the paper. Then imagine how far you'll go with it. That's not motivational fluff. That's the pragmatic truth we've watched play out for thousands.
So here's your action plan. 1. Hit the 3CIR site and take the RPL eligibility quiz. 2. Watch the video that matches your field: leadership and management, HR, WHS, security and risk, business admin, marketing and communication, government and public sector, or project management. 3. Book a chat. Bring your questions, your doubts, your crumpled up resume. We'll map it clean.
And if you're defense or emergency services, mention your service and lock in that 25% RPL assessment discount. Don't leave it on the table.
Next episode teaser, because we love a good cliffhanger, we're unpacking the stepping stone strategy, choosing between Cert 2, Cert 3, Cert 4, or Diploma when you're rebuilding or redirecting your career. We'll break down when to start small for speed, when to shoot for a diploma, and how to mix RPL with online study so you build momentum without burning out.
Plus a few war stories about what happens when you pick a qualification that doesn't match your day-to-day and how to fix it fast. Spoiler, it's all about alignment and smart mapping.
All right, that's us for today. If something we said sparked a question, send it through. If it sparked a plan, even better. Start your RPL journey now, and let's turn lived experience into recognized qualifications.
Courage, commitment, camaraderie, integrity, respect. They guided us in uniform. They guide us here. We'll see you on the next run.
And hey, if you're heading to a shift or school pickup, shoulders back, chin up, you've already done the hard stuff. Now we make it official.